Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to your sleep story. I am Theresa Noye, your radical self-love coach. I work with high-achieving women who typically put themselves last to love themselves enough to put themselves first. You deserve to love, cherish, and honor yourself without guilt because your well-being matters. It gives me great joy to be the voice that guides you into a restful sleep tonight. You are so deeply loved. Your existence is the proof. Before we begin tonight's sleep story, let's start with a relaxation session. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support beneath you. The support of your bed, the floor, and the earth beneath. Imagine the warm sand of a beautiful beach, cradling you, holding you with the earth's gentle strength. Allow that certainty, that solidity, to enable you to release a little more, to sink into this moment a bit more. 9. You are safe. All is well. Allow my voice to be a point of safety for you. Allow my voice to be an anchor that keeps you in a safe space. Know that my voice will only ever bring you into safe places. Feel into your body now. Notice where you might be holding tension. Maybe your feet, your hands, your face, or your belly. Just release it all. Your body has worked hard for you today. It's time for it to rest. It deserves rest. 8. Today is done. Whatever has been, has been. Whatever will be, will be. All you have is now. So thoughts about the day that just was, or days that are to come, don't serve you right now. Allow that realization to enable you to settle into this moment more. 7. This is your moment. You have nowhere to be, nowhere to go. The only place you need to be is here, enjoying this cozy sleep story and the sound of my voice. You deserve it. 6. You deserve it. You deserve rest. You deserve sleep. You deserve to be here. Allow that fact to help you let go a little more. 5. Perhaps allow yourself to feel a little gratitude now. Gratitude for this moment. Gratitude for the ability to rest. Gratitude for the simple things, your breath, the shelter you have tonight, the opportunity to switch off in a place of safety. 4. Embrace the coziness of this moment, the coziness of lying down in a safe space, moving towards sleep in the beautiful act of storytelling. 3. Begin to engage with your imagine now. Engage with your imagination. Picture a beach in the Caribbean, a secluded spot on the beautiful island of Barbados. isolated from the rest of the world, or another favorite spot that you may have. Allow yourself to engage. Bring that picture to mind and check in with your body again. Make sure you're not holding tension anywhere. Release and allow yourself to sink a little deeper to completely let go now as I tell you tonight's sleep story. The Hidden Rooftop Orchard, Chapter 1, The Ascent. Elara's steps, though steady, were quieter now, echoing a shift from the hurried pace of the day to a deep, contemplative stillness. She found herself at the base of the winding exterior stairs of a forgotten tenement building, a building she had passed 1,000 times, never knowing that its summit held a secret. The city's hum still clung to her, a faint, nervous residue, like static electricity around a spent thought. But with every upward turn, the sound thinned. Her mind, moments ago, a relentless spreadsheet of tasks and deadlines, began to blur at the edges, dissolving like fine sugar in warm water. She let the tension that had gathered in her shoulders, heavy as a mantle of lead, loosen its grip, allowing it to fall away and pool on the steps below. The air in the stairwell was cool, carrying the scent of damp stone and forgotten rain. A simple, earthy perfume that was wholly unconcerned with the digital precision of her life. She pressed her palm against the iron railing, which felt strangely smooth, polished by decades of anonymous hands. This climb was not a race, nor was it a means to an end. It was an act of surrender. Each flight was a gentle, upward sweep, a melodic movement where her breath set the rhythm. The rhythmic creak of her sneakers on the old wooden steps became a metronome for her thoughts, slowing them down until they were spaced far apart, like distant, sleepy boats traversing a calm sea. The windows on the landing offered brief vertical glimpses of the city below, its lights beginning to flicker into existence like newly kindled stars, yet they felt remote, like a world seen through the wrong end of a telescope. She focused on the dust motes dancing in the narrow shafts of remaining sunlight, each speck suspended and turning, seeming to possess a perfect momentary life of its own. It was a mundane sight, yet suddenly Elara saw it as a microcosm of beauty, the tiny particles catching the light like scattered diamond dust. She realized that her days, so often spent calculating grand strategies, had made her blind to the exquisite calculus of the ordinary. She ascended past the final residential floor, where the scent of baking bread, warm and simple, drifted from a doorway, a scent that felt like a deeply rooted memory she didn't know she possessed. It was a comforting, simple anchor in the quiet ascent. Finally, she reached the top landing where a low, heavy wooden hatch sealed the roof above. The handle was a rusty iron loop, cool against her fingers, a solid, tangible promise of what lay beyond. There was no lock, no warning sign, only the silent invitation of the weathered wood. She pushed up slowly. The hinge groaned once, a long, drawn-out sound like a sleeping creature stretching, and then the hatch lifted, bathing the dusty landing in a wave of soft, cooling air. The light was no longer the sharp, golden yellow of day, but a luminous, pearlescent haze. She stepped over the threshold, pulling the hatch closed behind her with a soft thud that sealed the door on the world of schedules and screens. She stood now upon the roof's broad, flat surface. Her first awareness was not of height or exposure, but of scent. A scent so delicate and unexpected, it felt like a chord struck softly on a harp. It was the fragrance of blossoms, ripe and sweet, mingling with the dry, warm scent of tar and gravel. She looked up. The sky was an immense, darkening canvas, moving from pale rose gold at the horizon to a softening, deep indigo directly overhead. And then she saw it. Not the familiar urban landscape of jagged brick and harsh ventilation systems, but a space completely transformed. In the center of the roof, shielded by low parapet walls, was an orchard, not planted in the earth, but in large, dark wooden barrels and terracotta pots. Dozens of small fruit trees stood, their branches thick and heavy with spring bloom. The petals were everywhere, a soft, silent rain falling gently over the graveled surface, like countless tiny boats setting sail upon the dry ground. Alara's desire, simple and immediate, was merely to know what kind of tree could bear such perfect quiet. Her tension had vanished entirely, replaced by an overwhelming, serene curiosity, like a boat pulling into the still harbor after a long, restless journey. She took a slow, deep breath, tasting the air that was now soft as silk and heavy with the promise of unseen, simple sweetness. Her journey into the silence had begun. Chapter 2: Indigo and Bloom. Alara stepped fully onto the gravel path. The soft, shifting stones underfoot offering a yielding sound that was entirely different from the sharp, decisive clicks of the paved streets below. The air here was no longer simply fragrant. It was thick with the accumulated essence of the evening, a dense, sweet cloud that wrapped around her like inhaled velvet. This space, walled off from the city by the high, weathered brick parapet, felt like a pocket of silence, a vacuum of peace, where the restless, insistent clamor of the world had been gently filtered out. The muffled remnants of the city's pulse were now less noise and more like the faint, steady drumming of a sleeping giant, too far away to matter. She was sheltered, held in a curved brick embrace that preserved this impossible sanctuary. The initial cluster of trees she approached were cherry, their branches bowed low under the impossible weight of their blossoms. The flowers were not merely white, but a creamy, voluminous mass so tightly packed they looked like freshly spun clouds that had descended and gotten caught in the dark, gnarled wood. The blooms released a constant, gentle snowfall of petals, each one turning slowly as it descended, seeming to measure the perfect stillness of the evening. They settled on the rough, dark gravel, creating winding paths of pale, luminous softness that guided her gaze deeper into the canopy. The sight made Ilara feel like she was moving through a forgotten memory, a gentle, comforting tableau where the urgency of time itself had been politely asked to wait. The dark wooden barrels that served as planters were banded with rusty iron, providing a visual anchor. The metal and wood were solid and true, representing patience and containment, while the exuberant blossoms above were pure, fleeting possibility. Ilara's gaze lingered on the soil, rich, dark, and smelling faintly of minerals and moisture, a grounding contrast to the ethereal white spray. It struck her then that this was the truest form of profound patient achievement, the unhurried miracle of a tree growing upwards, its roots reaching downwards in an equal necessary balance. Her former life had valued velocity and visible impact. This place valued stillness and the quiet certainty of cyclical growth. A pear tree stood nearby, taller and more slender than its cherry cousins, its canopy catching the last direct light. Its leaves were a deep, glossy green, firm and curved, reflecting the fading sky like pieces of polished jade. The pear blossoms were slightly larger, sturdier, and tinged with the faintest blush of rose at their centers, shaped like tiny perfect bells ready to ring out silence. Ilara reached out with an open hand and lightly brushed her palm against a low-hanging branch. The movement was barely perceptible, yet it dislodged a small flurry of the delicate flowers. They scattered around, perceptible, around her wrist, momentarily adorning her skin like a fragrant, weightless bracelet before continuing their descent. The experience was one of utter grace. She had caused no disruption, only participated in the tree's beautiful natural process of release. As the light shifted completely into the deepening twilight, the hour when the sky becomes an infinite canvas of layered indigo and cobalt, the blossoms took on a startling luminescence. The petals, both on the branches and the ground, seemed to gather the day's scattered remnants of light within their delicate cups, glowing faintly white against the darkening foliage. Elara felt a deep, resonant calm settle within her chest, a sensation like a perfectly tuned instrument finding its true, clear note after a long, restless discord. The feeling was not acquired through striving or effort, but given freely by the simple act of standing still. The fruit itself, small and hard and green, was visible now, nestled tightly against the tender stems. They were promises whispered in the foliage, certain of their eventual simple sweetness. Elara's desire, which had initially been a query about the quiet of the place, now became purely sensory, a wish as gentle as the petal that drifted past her ear. She wanted to know the subtle, individual taste of this quiet, elevated fruit. She wanted its serene flavor to become a part of her own inner landscape. She was an observer of this magnificent hidden stillness, and that observation was the only work required of her now. The quiet of the rooftop had entered her completely, an inner silence as deep and calming as the night sky spreading above the branches. She was ready to move deeper into the orchard's serene embrace. Chapter 3: The Plum and the Stillness. Elara moved deeper into the hidden space, following the subtle, meandering path of gravel and falling petals. Her former pace, the quick, efficient clip of someone always aiming for the next destination, had entirely evaporated. Now, she simply drifted, her movement less a choice and more a quiet response to the orchard's serene pull, like a feather caught on a gentle upward draft. The deepening twilight was now fully established. The sky above had surrendered its final streaks of orange and rose, becoming a seamless dark indigo, deep as ink and soft as velvet. This colored air settled around the blossoms, making the white petals of the cherry and pear trees glow with a soft internal radiance, as if each flower held a tiny captured moonbeam within its folds. The plum trees marked the central boundary of the orchard, standing slightly taller than the others. Their wood was a darker, almost black lacquer, and their blossoms were not white, but a rich, voluminous pink, a color so deeply saturated it looked like old treasured silk. The petals were shaped differently too, broader and more round, clustering together in fragrant bouquets that made the air surrounding them feel heavy and still, like the moments just before a profound, simple realization. Elira paused beside one massive terraced planter. The terracotta pot, rough and weathered, was cracked in places, its blemishes telling a story of sun, frost, and unhurried time. She found an inexplicable comfort in this imperfection, realizing that strength did not demand flawless polish, but rather the endurance to hold beauty even when scarred. She reached out and rested her forearm gently against the cool, dark bark of the plum tree. The texture was rough and rigid, a complex landscape of tiny valleys and peaks. This contact, simple and tactile, grounded her completely. It was a permanence she could feel, a living anchor that had stood still while the entire world rushed by. Her thoughts, once a tightly woven analytical knot, began to unravel into simple, separated strands, like individual threads pulled from a loom. They were no longer urgent or necessary, merely present, and they held no claim on her attention. She inhaled slowly, letting the scent of the plum blossom, a spicier, deeper, sweet than the cherry, fill her lungs, an internal cleansing that smoothed away the fine dust of the day's anxieties. Elira noticed a small, heavy irrigation pipe running along the base of the parapet wall, completely concealed by the trees and the low-hanging branches. It was a humble, functional piece of engineering, but in this context, it felt profoundly beautiful. It was the silent, steady promise of sustenance, the unsung assurance that allowed the effortless beauty of the bloom to persist. She realized that the most important systems, the ones that sustain life and growth, are often the quietest and most easily overlooked. This rooftop orchard was a perfect balance. The quiet commitment of the water pipe, the rugged permanence of the pots, and the effortless, ephemeral grace of the flowers. And then, deep within the plum canopy, she saw it, a cluster of fruit that had already moved past the early green stage. These were true plums, round as pebbles, smoothed by a stream, cloaked in a dusky matte purple bloom that looked like a layer of fine celestial power. One in particular hung low, almost touching the ground, perfect and slightly illuminated by the subtle city glow that crept over the parapet. This was the answer to her initial silent query. This single piece of fruit represented the culmination of the orchard's silent work. Her desire was not to consume it out of hunger, but to complete the ritual of discovery, to taste the distilled essence of this elevated quiet. The city below had transformed entirely, its harsh lights softened by the distance and the descending dark. They were now merely scattered jewels on a black cloth, their frenetic activity rendered mute and abstract. Alara felt her entire being sigh, a deep, silent release that went far beyond mere relaxation. She was no longer just standing still. She was stillness itself, absorbed into the melodic, slow unfolding of the rooftop night. This profound, lovely calm was not a temporary respite, but a fundamental realignment, a feeling as encompassing as the vast, supportive indigo sky above. Chapter 4. The Taste of Quiet. Alara's movement toward the low-hanging plum was slow and deliberate, a mindful approach that honored the stillness of the place. It was not a hasty grab, but a reverent reaching, as if she were receiving a gift that had been centuries in the making. She extended her hand, her fingers parting the curtain of soft, pink plum blossoms. The air immediately around the fruit felt cooler, dense with the humidity that the tree itself had exhaled. Her fingers closed gently around the plum, a tiny, cool sphere of silent completion. Its weight was surprising, a small, satisfying heaviness that felt solid and true in the palm of her hand. She did not pull. She simply lifted. The stem, which had held the fruit with the silent tenacity of a deep belief, yielded instantly with a soft, barely audible snap, a sound that felt like the polite closing of a very small, perfect chapter. The fruit remained cloaked in its dusky matte purple bloom, a fine, almost invisible powder that had collected the night's indigo light. This bloom was so delicate that even her careful touch left faint, sweeping marks, like the trails of slow-moving constellations across the celestial surface of the skin. She held it for a long moment, simply admiring the sheer, unhurried artistry of the mundane. The plum was a perfect metaphor for her own internal shift, an immense amount of quiet effort resulting in a simple, perfect, and deeply satisfying presence. Bringing the plum slowly toward her mouth, Alara inhaled its scent. It was a complex layered fragrance, not just the expected fruit sugar, but an earthy musk, a faint note of the metallic city air cleansed by the blossoms, and the deep, enduring scent of the dark, mineral soil from which it had sprung. It was the smell of patience distilled. She took the first bite, a small, decisive pressure against the firm, resilient skin. The texture was yielding, giving way to the soft, golden flesh beneath. The taste was not a sudden burst, but a slow, melodic revelation. It began with a deep, earthy warmth that spread across her palate like warm honey, followed by a bright, clean tang that felt like a single clear bell tolling in the distance. The sweetness was profound but quiet, utterly without the cloying intensity of manufactured flavor. It tasted like the indigo sky filtered through the patience of wood and time. It was the flavor of the very stillness she had sought. With every slow chew, Elara felt the physical substance of the fruit dissolve, but its emotional essence, pure, lovely, calm, seemed to integrate into her being, settling into the core of her chest like a warm, glowing ember. The remaining light in the orchard now felt entirely internal. The blossoms of the pear and cherry trees, fueled by the last of the distant city glow, seemed to be breathing, their white surfaces expanding and contracting faintly in the dark. Petals continued to fall in a silent, ceaseless drift, landing on her shoulders like cool, momentary benedictions. Elara stood utterly still, her eyes closed, fully present in the act of finishing the plum, savoring the cool, sweet juice that lingered on her tongue. The small, hard pit, the core of the plum's quiet potential, she placed carefully back into the soil of the terracotta pot, completing the simple, elegant cycle of the moment. She felt utterly cleansed, as though the fruit had drawn out the final residual anxieties of the day, leaving behind only the deep, resonant chord of fulfillment. Her consciousness was now wide open, perceiving everything in slow motion. The soft sound of the gravel shifting beneath her feet, the faint shimmer of light reflecting off a dark leaf, the colossal reassuring presence of the night sky. She recognized that the greatest achievements were not the ones that strained for attention, but those that unfolded with a quiet, undeniable certainty, like the secret orchid she had found. She had desired an answer, and the answer was this fruit, the simple, complete perfection of being present. The world felt utterly lovely, stripped of all its demanding urgency, leaving only the beautiful slow drift of time. Chapter 5. The Luminous Soundscape. Having tasted the essence of the orchard's silent work, Elara's awareness turned outward again, focusing on the auditory landscape of this elevated sanctuary. The sound was not silence, but a specific low-frequency hum, a deep, resonant stillness that acted as a palate cleanser for the ears. The residual noise of the city, that once insistent, demanding roar, was now muffled to a continuous, distant thrum, like the slow, steady vibration of a massive, ancient string instrument heard from deep within the earth. This sound, far from being disruptive, was a comforting confirmation of the world's quiet persistence, stripped of its urgency. Elara felt sheltered, held perfectly still, while the rest of the world spun without her effort. The night air, cooled by the height and saturated with the cloying sweetness of the remaining blossoms, began to feel like a physical, tangible presence. It pressed gently against her skin, a heavy velvet cloth woven from silk and shadow, settling all the fine, restless hairs on her arms. When she inhaled, the air was so dense with the fragrance of plum and cherry that it felt like drinking liquid peace on an internal drought that cooled the last lingering embers of professional anxiety. She recognized the scent of the mundane now, realizing that the fragrance of a flower contained the entirety of the universe's quiet complexity, infinitely richer than any synthetic perfume designed to draw attention. The melodic nature of the orchard was primarily composed of what was not there, but also by the small deliberate sounds that remained. The primary melody was the constant, soft shh of the petals drifting. She watched them now, seeing them not as falling objects, but as tiny boats sailing horizontally on infinitesimal currents of air. Their descent, a beautiful slow motion surrender. When they landed on the gravel, the sound was barely perceptible, a whisper softer than a moth's wing beat against glass. Yet Elara's heightened consciousness registered each one. This constant, gentle drift was the unwritten music of the rooftop, a continuous reminder that beauty is not found in permanence, but in elegant, graceful release. A sudden, gentle stir of air, like a soft-spoken command passing between the dark, gnarled trees, caused a handful of pear leaves to turn their glossy undersides upward. This movement was soundless, but looked like a sudden, brief flash of liquid shadow. A visual music score played out in the indigo light. Elara felt her mind mimic this pattern. Her thoughts, once sharp chains of logic and casualty, became light, singular concepts that simply floated away like the petals as soon as they surface. This easy process of letting go was the true, unsought achievement of the night. There was no internal struggle, only the smooth, unhurried, positive emotion of acceptance. She looked up at the vast indigo canvas, now fully revealed and speckled with the sudden sharp brilliance of the stars. The sky felt closer here, drawn down by the surrounding quiet and the height, as if the tips of the dark branches could brush against the cold, clear light of the constellations. She felt connected to the colossal, slow, and entirely unhurried mechanism of the universe, a connection that negated the frantic pace of human deadlines and strained productivity. Her former life had felt like a desperate tiny flicker. This moment felt like an anchor dropped into infinity. The dark wood of the tree trunks, now lit only by the faint luminosity of the blossoms and the distant city glow, stood as massive supportive columns. They were guardians of the quiet, their branches reaching upward like complicated, beautiful prayers. Elara was entirely absorbed, her being a perfect echo of the external world's serenity. She took another slow, deep breath, intending to carry this quiet inside her, like clear water cupped in her hands, before eventually turning back to the descent. She felt the calm settle around her, like a physical layer of protection, dense and true, completing her immersion into the beautiful, slow drift of time. Chapter 6. The Quiet Return. Elara knew, without consulting any internal clock or external pressure, that the time for her departure had arrived. Yet this knowledge brought no urgency, only a gentle, melodic sense of completeness. Her mind, once rigidly structured around appointments and schedules, now felt open and spacious, like a deserted, silent library where all the necessary books had already been absorbed. She turned and began a slow, final drift back toward the wooden hatch, her steps creating a soft, sighing sound in the petal-covered gravel. Her body moved with a quiet certainty, no longer pushing against the world, but flowing with it, like a river finding the path of least resistance. Above the indigo sky, the moon had fully asserted itself, not a harsh silver disk, but a pale luminous pearl hanging in the deep velvet expanse. Its light filtered through the thinning canopy, casting shadows of intricate lacy complexity onto the ground. These shadows were not dark or frightening, but soft, dark blue silhouettes, moving slightly with the invisible breath of the air. Elara watched a shadow of a plum branch dance across the cracked terracotta of a planter, finding profound beauty in the fleeting graphic performance of the light and the dark. It was the realization that complexity could be captured in the simplest forms: light, branch, shadow, stillness. She paused beside the opening of the path, glancing back at the entirety of the small, improbable world she had found. The orchard was a masterpiece of quiet persistence, its trees standing like ancient rooted sentinels of peace. The fragrance remained a dense, sweet guarantee of all that was effortless and lovely. She felt the calm she had acquired, the deep, resonant chord of fulfillment now sealed within her, not as a memory to be retrieved, but as a permanent internal atmosphere. It was a clear, vital liquid contained in an unbreakable, invisible vessel, protected from the dust and clamor of the world below. The descent of the stairs was the inverse of her earlier climb. Where the ascent had been a letting go of burdens, the descent was a deliberate act of carrying a gift. Each step was a quiet confirmation, a weighted, peaceful placement of her foot on the old wood. The iron railing, cool and solid, was her companion, guiding her smoothly downward. The city's thrum, which had been muted to a deep hum, began to rise slightly in volume, no longer a threatening roar, but the distant, rhythmic pulse of life continuing, like the sound of gentle waves on a far-off shore. It was external now, incapable of intruding on the inner stillness she possessed. When she reached the final landing and stepped through the ground-level doorway, she closed the outer door softly, not with a lock, but with the quiet finality of a deeply felt moment. The air on the street was sharper, filled with the scent of exhaust and commerce, but Alara's senses were buffered by the internal perfume of the blossoms. The bright, sharp lights of the storefronts and passing cars felt less abrasive and more like simple, scattered flickers of energy, beautiful in their function, but lacking the profound, soulful radiance of the moonlit petals she had just left. She stepped onto the sidewalk. The pavement felt solid and true beneath her feet. She was physically back in the world of deadlines and demands, but she was fundamentally untouchable by its hurried pace. The quiet, hidden rooftop orchard had offered its answer, that the most valuable achievement is not the external striving, but the internal stillness that allows one to find the exquisite beauty of the quiet, mundane moments. The grain of a terracotta pot, the shadow of a leaf, the dusty purple bloom on a piece of fruit. Alara walked forward, carrying the immense, profound peace of the indigo bloom within her, her mind finally, beautifully asleep.